Welcome to the JD Bunkis podcast. What a moment for baseball in this country. I've already talked to people about registration numbers being up, that if you haven't put your kid into baseball already, it's likely too late. The need for Canada baseball to seize this moment, to be able to make sure that they can work on whatever improvements that they need, whatever infrastructure issues that they have, coaching clinics, go on down the line. Because it's booming in this country. People care. Again, I come from very much a hockey family. And this Christmas, when I was home, ahead of the World Juniors in the midst of the NHL season with, by the way, a Leafs and Senators game coming up, which is usually like a very, very, very big thing for my family. All everybody was talking about was baseball. Blue Jays, baseball. Baseball, baseball. And it makes sense. Like, I guess now they were out by a foot in the World Series or a couple of, I don't even know. I saw something online that said IKF was actually out by further than it appeared on the it hurts all the same. I guess it hurts all the same. Either way, baseball is booming. People are loving it. Why wouldn't you? You got an excellent team at home. It's an unbelievable sport. They've made incredible changes that have helped make the game a little bit more digestible from a casual viewership standpoint and from a hardcore watch every game standpoint. It's on a heater right now. Like, baseball is on a heater right now. You've got this unbelievably entertaining Dominican Republic team that is playing with a flair I've never seen with the sport. It's like, what if the Savannah Bananas were real? What if the Savannah Bananas were playing in games that actually mattered? And now, Team Canada, congratulations, finally gets out of the group stage at the World Baseball Classic. The first time ever in this country's history where Team Canada has made it to the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic, and they do it in extremely entertaining fashion. It wasn't the prettiest baseball game, no sir. No sirree. Game starts with Canada going 0-5 with runners in scoring position, and it's just like, it kind of felt as though a roster that was mostly built around the idea that they were going to hit was just not coming up with enough clutch hits throughout this tournament. Too many low-scoring games, and conversely, the pitching had been amazing. Normally, the story with Team Canada at these tournaments is we don't get outs. We struggle to find arms. And it's why people were, I think, a little rightfully upset when a few of the best relievers in baseball, who happened to be Canadian, decided that they weren't going to show up for this tournament. That you thought that was going to be an issue for this team. Turns out not so much, because Canada dealt the entire way through. Cal Quantrill, Canadian baseball royalty, the prince that was promised. He shoves. He gives you 5 innings of no-run baseball. I guess one unearned run, which I'm always a little on the unearned run when it's the pitcher's fault. But, yeah, 2 hits, 1 walk, just mowed down that Cuban lineup. Again, the game was ugly. There was horrific pass balls by the Cubans, mistakes in the field. They had 3 pitch clock violations. The catcher used his mask to try and stop a ball on a strikeout, which I don't know if I've seen that before. I was trying to rack my brain in terms of any time in the majors where I've actually seen a guy do that. So, yeah, their defense was as bad as possible, but Canada played gutsy, man. Finally came up with some big clutch hits. I think Owen Casey is really on the verge of becoming a household name in Canada. He finishes with 9 RBI in this tournament already, which is a Canadian record. I think it was past Michael Saunders, who finished with 7. But, yeah, like, it's first of all, it's impossible not to be proud of these guys. It's kind of a bummer that they end up having to face the United States in the quarterfinals, like the way that this thing broke, where Canada ends up first in their pool, the United States ends up second in their pool because of the run differential stuff, which I think all of us had a little bit of difficulty with. That was the only piece of the Mark DeRosa stuff that I thought was a little sympathetic to him. Like, yeah, you're the manager of USA Baseball. You got to have it right. You got to know the stakes, especially since there was a scenario where he could have gotten his team eliminated. But I did feel one small measure of sympathy for him or empathy for him, given that every one of these games I watched, I was like, so what's the what's the stakes here? Who needs what? How much does the run differential matter? So if Mexico wins by how many runs they get through, they can't just win the game. They got to do this. Either way, it sets up for a game against the United States on Friday. It's on Sportsnet 1. It's on Sportsnet Plus. It's here on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. And it's time to bring in a guy. Well, listen, I mentioned Canada had pitching issues year over year over year. Like 2006, team ERA of 7.33. 2009, team ERA of 5.82. 2013, 8.64. 2017, 6.84. 2023, 8.71. But a guy who actually shoved for Canada, a guy who was awesome, pitched extremely well. His three appearances at the World Baseball Classic included 2013, where he threw 5 2/3 innings with four punch-outs and 0 earned runs. It's Chris Leroux of Sportsnet 590 The Fan. What's up, buddy? How we doing?
Hey, I'm glad you just rattled off my World Baseball Classic numbers and not any other numbers.
Well, listen, I wouldn't want to be lumped in with those stats. Like, those are horrible ERAs for a team. And man, I guess like we can kind of just start with that. Like, that had been the bugaboo for Canada at these tournaments over and over and over again, was like we just couldn't get enough outs. And like, again, no disrespect to the guys who showed up, but we had one year where everyone was like talking themselves into Ryan Dempster and Eric Gagne, who were both like into their 40s, and saying like, we need these two guys to perform, otherwise Canada has no shot. And I think Ryan Dempster got out of the first inning unscathed in his outing, and everyone was like, this is the Canadian heritage moment. And then the rest of the game kind of went the way that you would expect for a guy that was in his mid to late 40s. But yeah, what did you make of Cal Quantrill yesterday? Because it's hard not to think about his dad. It's hard not to think about a guy who has wanted to be on that stage for a very long time and actually got to live that dream over 5 innings.
Yeah, the cool thing about that moment for Cal Quantrill is I know Paul Quantrill has been waiting for something like that with the national team for a long time. He's coached the national team for, I want to say, the last 10 or so years. He's been a big part of Baseball Canada. So I guess that kind of makes me really really happy for the family, the Quantrill family. They've been around Baseball Canada for a long time. I want to send a big congratulations to Greg Hamilton. I know that you guys have discussed him on the show before. He's been an integral piece of baseball in Canada since I was 15 years old. He was my coach with the junior national team. He's the bench coach now for the WBC team. So he's been through everything, every up and every down that Baseball Canada has been through over the last 35 years. So this is probably a fantastic time in his life and his family's life. And I just want to send a big congratulations to him and Ernie Witt too. He's American, but he's been through everything with Baseball Canada over the last 20 years or so. He's been my coach with Baseball Canada and world events for I don't even know how long now. So Ernie Witt has been there and done that. And I think that's the biggest thing with Baseball Canada, with Canadian baseball in general, is you don't just get these coaches, these players that play one time and then you'll never see them again, or they coach one time and you never see them again. Guys are around for a long time. Ernie Witt, Greg Hamilton, Paul Quantrill, even Larry Walker shows up quite a bit from time to time, and it's a family, it's special. And I was pretty emotional last night watching the game. It was cool to see. Man, I've been through some downs with that team. We've been crushed. We've been beaten pretty badly. I was there when Italy crushed us 14-4 in the World Baseball Classic. So it's pretty awesome to see that they finally punched their ticket through to the next round. And I know you say that it was it's unfortunate that they get to play the United States, but I say it's fortunate they get to go out there and play a team that they could potentially beat. They're a beatable team, and especially now in this time of year when guys aren't mid-season form, guys aren't 100%, you can go out there and you can beat a team like that. It doesn't matter if Aaron Judge is standing in the batter's box. He's not 100%. He's not mid-season form. So I would be ecstatic if I was playing them. It's a lot more difficult to play a team like Venezuela, Dominican, Japan, Korea, because those guys have been practicing and have been together for so long. You get a lot of guys in Dominican, Venezuela that have played winter ball for the last couple of months, and they're mid-season form, so they're pretty good right now. They're pretty locked in. Korea, Japan have been together for the last month and a half or so. Team USA is ready to be beaten, and I'm not saying they're going to be beaten, but they're a team that is very beatable right now. They showed that against Italy, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Canada go out there and play a pretty good game against them.
Yeah, I want to come back to the lifers because to me that is such a
I'm one of those lifers.
yeah.
JD.
I know you are, and that's why it's like it's great to have you today, man. Because I know you know what it means to those guys, and like the Greg Hamiltons, the Stubby Claps, and yeah, the Ernie Witts. Like I do want to come back to that, but just because you brought up the USA thing, first of all, I'm excited for them to play the States, and I believe what it is that you're saying, and I want to dig in more on this matchup. I guess for me, the reason why I was a little like, ugh, is we just had the Canada USA game, and it was so unbelievably charged. And I got in the mix. I got in the mud on social media for what was essentially a week, to the point where like I'm doing shows in Miami talking about Canadian hockey versus the United States. And it got so incredibly toxic. And I know online isn't real life, and it's sometimes it can be a little harder to separate those two things. But I felt like we finally just got out of that little bubble where it was USA, Canada was starting to kind of come back into normality. And now the idea of, God, if we could win, oh, the stakes are incredibly high. But if we lose, to get punched in the mouth twice by the men's and women's Olympic hockey teams, and then to lose to the United States and see the cheering that's going to happen on that side of the border, I'm not prepared for it. I'm truly thinking like, man, do I take Monday's show off? Like, I need a buffer zone if this happens. I don't have the guts to keep showing up for these meetings.
I would be lying if I said that I followed hockey probably as much as you do. So
Yeah.
I don't have the same feeling towards all of that probably as the majority of Canadians have.
Yeah.
I've never been a hockey guy. I've always been a basketball guy. My wintertime sport has always been basketball. With that being said, I think this is a fantastic opportunity to make up for what just happened at the Olympics in men's and women's hockey. Canadian baseball is probably playing with house money right now.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a sense that they probably weren't expected to make it to the next round, because everybody expected them to make it to the next round. They were the second best team in that pool if Puerto Rico had their full roster. Actually, now that I think about it, Puerto Rico didn't have their full roster, so the Canadian team might have been the best team in that pool. So they probably were expected to win that
Oh, yeah,
pool.
they finished first.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thought, and maybe this is just the perfect scenario where the Canadians get to make up for what happened at the Olympics in hockey. And some people probably don't want that matchup because they don't want to feel like they felt when the hockey teams both lost. But I take that opportunity and I run with it, and I say, hey, this is an opportunity for us to make up for that, to give Canadians a better taste in their mouth, and let's take that chance. Let's take that opportunity and let's go with it. And I know that the boys down there in Houston now are thinking the exact same thing. I mean, a couple of those guys are Americans, so they probably are happy that the American team won. But at the same time, I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. Team Canada versus Team USA, whether it's hockey, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball, it's all those same feelings of pride. And I know that those guys down there now are feeling those same sense of pride. And that's probably why I'm so excited to play Team USA, whether it's in the quarterfinals, whether it's in the finals, it doesn't matter. It's Team USA. It's the best in the world versus Canada. And I know I'd be lying if I said that this is the best Canadian team that we could field. There's a couple of guys that I can think of that aren't playing that that would make this roster a heck of a lot better. But at the same time, it's important to remember that Canadians go out there and they believe they can win every single time, whether it's Canada or whether it's baseball or whether it's hockey. And I know those guys think that, and on paper, the Team USA is probably much better than the Canadian team. But at the same time, the Canadian boys know that they can beat them on any given night.
I'm excited for the matchup. I would have just loved if it came into semifinals and we could have extended this run just a little further.
Well, you just want another night where you can go out and drink with the boys. That's all you want.
Yes, I do. And I want to watch more meaningful baseball because it is at the point, like I know you're down in Florida right now. I've reached the point of Blue Jays spring training where I'm like, fast forward button, please. Like, just get me to the regular season. I can't watch more. Listen, it's great. Trey Yesavage throwing a sim game, and there's like the little stories that are come out of this thing. There's definitely still stuff to be sorted, and I do want to ask you about some of that. But like, I can't watch any more fake baseball, especially when you're watching high stakes stuff like this. Like, I mentioned how coming into this tournament, one of the problems the World Baseball Classic has in general is that for whatever reason, it's never really felt as pressure packed as I think it should for what represents the best of the best on best tournaments in baseball, right? Like, the Americans, if they lose this thing, and I pointed to the example of when Shohei struck out Mike Trout, it wasn't like we're devastated by this. It was, whoa, what a cool moment for baseball. And I don't like that. I like feeling like there's weighty stakes. And that's the good thing about having Canada-USA, right, is that it immediately propels this tournament into something different, I believe anyways, for Canadian baseball fans. And I would think that for the Americans, that this one's going to be a little heavier, considering that it is your, North American sporting rival, and that if you were to lose this game, it would be a little embarrassing considering the talent that they have on that roster. I have two things that are making me really feel really good. Is one, you mentioned those arms that aren't there, and there was a moment when that kid Diaz came in yesterday and he started looking bad right after Canada got the 5-1 lead. Man, the things I was muttering under my breath about Matt Brash and Cade Smith, and be like, you dorks, as if you just let this team down. I hope they feel regret today. Like, I really do hope that those guys paid attention and are like, maybe we should have been there. Maybe we should have just said, like, you know what, let's go throw a couple of innings for Team Canada. But the pitching has been so solid, and they've had so many guys emerge from the bullpen, including James Paxton, right, who comes out and shoves, hit 97 on the gun yesterday. 2 2/3. He has to get pulled from the game because of the 50 pitch rule, which was kind of a bummer because I really wanted to see Big Maple walk off the mound and kind of have that moment. But I feel way more confident in Canada's pitching staff than I expected to. And part of that is like name value. But the other piece of it is like these guys are actually dealing right now versus an American squad that's not throwing Tarek Skubal in this game, that's not throwing Paul Skeens in this game. Like, the pitching actually feels a little bit more level than I would have expected it to be when you first looked at these two rosters on paper side by side.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because you look at a guy like Cal Quantrill, who's struggled over the last few years or so. I think he's had like a 5.5 ERA the last 3 years. James Paxton, who hasn't thrown a big league pitch since 2024. And you see those guys come into a huge game like this, and you probably think, "Oh boy, here we go. This could either go fantastic or it could probably not go great for Team Canada." Unfortunately for Team Canada, those guys are locked in. I've never seen Cal Quantrill as locked in as he was yesterday. He's had a couple of really good big league seasons. There's no doubt about that. But yesterday, he was fired up. He was locked in. He was throwing strikes. Everything was working for him. And then, of course, James Paxton comes in and throws a fastball at 97.1 miles an hour. And you have to think to yourself, and I know that there's big league teams watching, and I know James Paxton knows that he feels good. He threw 97 miles an hour. Is his career really done? This is a left-handed pitcher throwing 97 miles an hour. Is he going to pitch in the big leagues this year? Are you wondering that? I'm wondering that. I saw that pitch.
Buddy, I wondered that for the Blue Jays. I was like, they need a lefty out of their bullpen.
There's no way he's finished. Yeah. If I was left-handed and I was James Paxton and I was throwing 97 miles an hour, I would probably walk back into that clubhouse and think, maybe I'll call my agent. Maybe I'll have a quick conversation with my family. Maybe I'll try to figure out life a little bit and see if I can pitch a couple more months in the big leagues and see what happens. And it's just, and this takes me back to my first point. It's been a long time coming, for Baseball Canada, whether it's Cade Smith, whether it's Jordan Romano, whether it's Cal Quantrill, whether it's Chris Leroux. It doesn't matter as long as somebody is getting it done. And I think that's the cool part about it is they might not be household names. And Cal Quantrill is a relatively household name. Like I said, he's been good a couple of years in the big leagues, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a Tark Skubal. It doesn't have to be a Paul Skeens. As long as somebody is getting it done for Team Canada, that's all that matters. And it's a big. It's a big moment for Baseball Canada. It's a big moment for baseball in Canada. And I know there's a lot of youngsters watching this tournament thinking, "Hey, maybe I'll pick up a baseball and I'll
Mhm.
start throwing with my dad and see where things go." And I couldn't be more excited, more thrilled about that. And like I said, I know Greg Hamilton. This is a big moment for him, for his family, for every life that he has touched. I've known him since I was 15 years old.
Mhm.
So this is a big moment for him and also a big moment for me.
Yeah. So again, I feel confident because the pitching is better than I first anticipated. But there is something also to be said, for me anyways, about the momentum you have as a team. And for the United States, like this entire tournament for them has not been, oh, wow, what an incredible run for the Team USA.
Mhm.
They had controversy with their manager not knowing the actual rules and setting up his team for potentially one of the most embarrassing, if not the most embarrassing result at a World Baseball Classic ever, right? Like if Mexico wins that game last night 5-0 and the USA is not playing in this quarterfinal, then all of a sudden I do think America's paying attention to this tournament going, "Oh my god, sorry, what happened?" Like Mark DeRosa he miscounted the men. He didn't know what the actual stakes were. I've seen their behind the scenes stuff in terms of like what it looks like for them versus say, and not everybody can be the Dominican Republic, but I'm watching Aaron Judge give speeches in Team USA's locker room, and they're kind of whatever, let's go out there. Versus Canada, where they've got
Yeah.
this group of guys who are all sort of peaking at the same time. Like that's why it was so important too that the bats got off to a big game for me yesterday too, where some of
Mhm.
those guys got to start to feel themselves because a lot of them were basically projected as you're going to be carrying this team in this tournament. And without you absolutely raking, we don't have a shot. And it ends up being Owen Casey, right, who starts in the 8 hole, who
Yeah.
racks up 9 RBI and is the only guy that's really having like unbelievably consistent output. Otto Lopez had a good round robin. Abraham Toro
Mhm.
had a decent one too. But the big guys at the very top of the lineup, it was eh. And then all of a sudden they start stacking some runs against that Cuba team, feeling like things are going to go break their way. I have to think to myself that this team Canada might believe a little bit differently or have a bit more investment than their American counterparts.
Well, I mean, there's definitely the investment part of it. You look at Eric Sarantola, who finished off that game
Yeah.
yesterday, who's probably going to pitch at some point in the big leagues for the Kansas City Royals this season. He threw his last pitch to Bo Naylor, who is a catcher for the Cleveland Guardians right now. They played together in the junior with the junior national team, so they've known each other for a long time. And I think that's the main difference between Canadian baseball and American baseball is you throw these teams together. If you're a USA if you're the US and guys have never played together, they probably know each other a little bit, but they don't really know each other that well. And you just throw them out there and there's really no team chemistry. There's none of that. And the difference between the US and Canada is the team chemistry. The fact that Eric Sarantola and Bo Naylor have played together before is really, really important. I think that is something that separates Team Canada from other nations, from even Venezuela, even Dominican. The fact that a lot of the players have played together with the junior national team in high school, with other teams around Canada. And you saw that yesterday with the amount of excitement that there was at the end of the game. I really noticed Sarantola and Bo Naylor kind of hug each other at the end. It wasn't a normal hug. It was a hug like, hey, we've known each other for a long, long time. We played together when we were 16 and 17 years old. And finally, look at us now. Look at us beating Team Cuba and going on finally to the quarterfinals of the World Baseball Classic. That was a really, really special moment for me. And I know a lot of people didn't notice that. I'm sure the Sarantola family knew what was happening. I'm sure the Naylor family knew exactly what was happening. But I saw that hug and I thought to myself, that's pretty cool. That's really fun. And again, I'm getting emotional just because I've been there and I've done that, and I've been in situations like that, because like that have gone the other way, that haven't worked out for Baseball Canada, for me personally, for guys that I know. So to see Sarantola, to see Bo Naylor hug each other at the end of that game yesterday, actually two guys that I coached with the junior national team in 2008 and 18, was pretty special. And I just wanted to bring that to everybody's
Mhm.
attention, that not only are they playing in this tournament together, but a lot of guys have played together with the junior national team as well. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. And I think that's the main difference when you think about Team USA and Team Canada. And that's why I'm pretty confident going into that game on Friday.
Yeah. It's fun seeing you be emotional about this because like that's what makes
Yeah.
sports cool is you're supposed to care. And that's what I wanted from this tournament. And that's why I'm so happy for those players. And that's why I'm so happy for that management group is because, again, you mentioned it, it is all lifers. I think like this is Ernie Witt's, fifth World Baseball Classic. Like Stubby
Yep.
Clapp has been there the entire time. Greg Hamilton's been there all the time. And I just have to believe that level of continuity, it creates more of a breeding ground for what is ultimately a brotherhood because it's a smaller group, right? Like it doesn't get the same attention as Hockey Canada. It doesn't get the same
Mhm.
attention even right now as Basketball Canada, which is on the rise and has now become really the number 2 nation in terms of developing NBA level talent. And yeah, it's hard not to watch that celebration and see what a relief it is for a group of guys that absolutely feel like they're and Justin Morneau said he was like, we've known for a long time we're a top 10 baseball country. And I think he's had a quote where he's like, I called my wife before the game being like, just please let me win. That all these guys care at all these different levels. And having that feeling of camaraderie with this group, I'm hoping that what the byproduct of this can be can not just be like more respect for Canada baseball, greater results for Canada baseball, celebrating these guys, these individuals that have been here for a long time, and the guys who have showed up, even if this is their first time. But also the application of what you're talking about with, you coaching junior national programs, and that Team
Mhm.
Canada can seize this moment with the Toronto Blue Jays and the momentum behind this tournament. Because man, you get a win against the United States, this becomes the number one story in the country now, right? Like
Yeah.
this is you've got a down Toronto Maple Leafs team, a down Toronto Raptors team. Blue Jays baseball still not starting for 2 more weeks. You get to be the center of attention in a sport that right now is just catapulting into unknown territory in this country.
Yeah.
Truly, like this is unlike anything that we saw in 2015 and 2016 in terms of momentum around this sport. You look at youth registration numbers, they're like through the roof. I'm curious from your perspective as a guy who came through this system, a guy who's coached in this system, and now a guy who like works as a broadcaster, where Team Canada really needs to improve in terms of how they capitalize on this moment when it comes to attracting and developing players.
Well, I think that it's kind of a team effort between Baseball Canada and the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays obviously have a foothold in baseball in Canada,
Hmm.
and then Team Canada, Baseball Canada is second when it comes to attracting and encouraging young players to play baseball. If the Toronto Blue Jays are successful, obviously you're going to get a lot more players, a lot more youth that are involved in baseball in Canada, and then of course with the World Baseball Classic, unfortunately, it only happens once every 3 or 4 years. So that's really the only tournament where young eyeballs are on baseball
Hmm.
with Baseball Canada. But I think the most important thing is just making it accessible. Baseball really is a warm weather sport, and unfortunately in Canada 8 months of the year you don't really want to be outside throwing a baseball around, hitting a baseball around. And I think that's the biggest challenge. It's always been the biggest challenge with me. I'm a warm weather guy, and I don't want to be outside in the cold. It's easier to be inside shooting hoops. It's easier to put on some hockey equipment and go shoot a puck around, but it's really difficult to attract young people to a sport that really is a 4 month sport in Canada. And that's why it's so popular in Florida and California and Dominican and Venezuela, is because it's 12 months of the year. It's
Hmm.
warm there. And it's really easy to pick up a baseball, go outside, throw with your dad, throw with your friends, play stickball with people in the neighborhood. And that's always been the challenge, and it's going to be a challenge that really never ends because of the weather, and unfortunately that's just the way it is. But at the same time, a winning Toronto Blue Jays team, a winning World Baseball Classic team will do wonders to to encourage people to go out there and get out in the cold weather and get out and start throwing a baseball around. And it's yeah, it's kind of a question that's been asked for a long time. How do we figure this out? How do we make baseball more popular in Canada? And look, baseball is popular in Canada.
Mhm.
Everybody I know loves baseball. They love watching the Toronto Blue Jays. They love this World Baseball Classic tournament. It's just a matter of getting young people out and getting young people out to throw baseballs around and play with each other on the field. And like I said, it's just a cold weather thing, but at the same time, this is awesome. I
Yeah.
love I love the fact that the World Baseball Classic is happening. I love the fact that I'm getting texts from friends, from people that I haven't talked to in a few years, and congratulating me and asking me questions about is this team good enough to do it? Is this team going to win the World Baseball Classic? And I love the fact that you, JD, reached out to me and you wanted to chat with me about the World Baseball Classic. And it's just a fun time for baseball in Canada. And again, I just want to give a shout out to Greg Hamilton, who's been there and done that, and is
Mhm.
finally breaking through into the quarterfinal of the World Baseball Classic.
So the other big winner of this tournament so far has been, like I said, Owen Casey. 9
Yeah,
RBI. He starts
yeah.
again down the lineup, and through Canada's struggles, it was kind of a growing frustration point that he wasn't hitting higher in the lineup because the kid was completely locked in, and obviously he's been their best hitter at this tournament, like period. Like it's just like there's been other guys who've contributed well. Abraham Toro started red hot. I think Otto Lopez has looked great. But for the most part, Owen Casey has been unbelievable. And this is a guy who's a top 100 level prospect.
Mhm.
Um, and I think like he was sort of known a little bit to casual baseball fans here because he is Canadian and also because he was originally with the Cubs, who just have a little bit more. Like if it was Marlins always, I don't know if it would have been that same way, right? Just it's the coverage is a little bit different in terms of you
Mhm.
being a top prospect for a top organization versus a lower one. I do feel like he's one game away from like truly being a household name. Like if he puts together some statistics against the United States and they end up winning that baseball game, to me, he becomes the biggest winner of this tournament in terms of jumping from relative unknown to, hey, this guy's the future of the program. But one thing
Mhm.
that is, I think, worth noting about this roster is that there isn't like a Justin Morneau on the team, right? There isn't even like a Jason Bay, like a top level, top tier Joey Votto type talent that you sort of circle. And Josh Naylor's great. Like, you know, he just almost stuck it to the Blue Jays. He was incredible in that ALCS against us. He's represented the country really well. He's obviously a very, very, very good player. But what it actually means to the program to have a guy who's a potential star.
Oh, I mean, it means everything because it's funny that you mentioned that because I was looking at the roster from 2009 when I first played in my first World Baseball Classic. You had Russell Martin,
Yeah,
Joey Votto, Justin Morneau, Jason Bay, Matt Stairs. And I
unreal.
know there's another couple of guys on that roster that are bona fide stars, really, that are household names, whether you're talking about Canadian baseball or whether you're talking about Major League Baseball. And we weren't good. We didn't do well. And you look at this roster, and really the only star, and I don't even know if he's an actual star, is Josh Naylor.
Hmm.
Um, there's just a lot of solid players 1 through 9 in that lineup, and I think that's what makes this lineup so good is you can't really take an at bat off if you're an opposing pitcher, and Owen Casey is one of those guys that you don't really know the name, but you will know the name. And he's a guy that's going to put a good at bat together every single time. Every single time he steps in that batter's box, and I'm actually pretty excited that he was traded from the Cubs to the Marlins because he's going to get a really long runway now. The
Hmm.
Marlins aren't a team that's expected to win. Of course, the Cubs want to win every single year, so it's hard for them to throw out a top prospect and say, here you have a 6 month runway. With the Marlins, that's what they do. They find guys like Owen Casey that are top prospects that have a lot of potential, and whether you're hitting 180 or whether you're hitting 280, they're going to throw you out there every single day and see what you got. So I'm really excited for Owen Casey to showcase his abilities this season in the big leagues. And like you said, if he goes out there and he goes 3 for 5 with a double and a home run against the USA, he's going to be a household name in Canada for a long, long time. Whether he has a ton of success in the big leagues or not, people are going to remember this tournament and think back, hey, remember Owen Casey?
Yeah.
Remember that guy that hit that big 3-run home run off of who well, throw a U.S. name out there. I don't know, off of Ryan Yarbrough or whoever to win that game to help Canada move on to the semifinals in that World Baseball Classic. This is a big opportunity for him to really showcase his skill set. And I've been watching him for a few years now. I know that a lot of people have been talking about him in the baseball world for a long time now. And finally, this is like his coming out party. This is his party where he's coming up. He's blowing the doors down that, and he's letting everybody know that he is a major leaguer. He's a star, and he's just, he just needs a couple of months or a couple of years until he gets to that point where people are really talking about him and really mentioning him with the Joey Vottos, with the Justin Morneaus, with the Russell Martins, because I truly believe that he's one of those guys.
Yeah, but to me, I think it's really important for your program to have those types of players that not only kids idolize, because now you've got the Toronto Blue Jays, right, where kids are going to look up to Vladdy and he's the guy. And it's part of the reason why I think Naylor is not a bigger star in this country is, like, one, his most memorable moments now have come against the Toronto Blue Jays as a villain. So that's a difficult one to just sort of, you're going to have some polarizing feelings about the guy. And he plays the same position as Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who people are way more invested in than they are Josh Naylor. But if you're Owen Casey and you can actually be a superstar, if that's what you can develop into, and this sort of ends up being your origin story for Canadian baseball fans, where they're like, hey, this guy had an unbelievable World Baseball Classic with Team Canada, and he pivoted into an awesome baseball career. That only, I think, adds the import for some of the better young players who might have been focusing on playing for their baseball team to do whatever they could to make sure they're in the big leagues, to say, like, no. What you want to do is actually be playing meaningful at-bats, meaningful moments with your country. It has a lot of value in terms of being able to sell yourself within your own country. Like, maybe this opens up endorsement opportunities for him. Who knows, right? Like, that it's pivotal that you have those guys at these stages of their careers open up stardom wearing the Canada baseball uniform.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I was thinking about that recently as well. Why isn't Josh Naylor a bigger name in Canada than he should be, just because he's been such a stud for the last 2 or 3 years? And he's from Mississauga, went to high school down the street from where I went to high school, in Mississauga. And I think that's going to change. I think that Josh Naylor is a proud Canadian. I know that he wears the Canadian jersey every time he shows up to the park. I think that I hope that changes. Anyways, he deserves to be a bigger name than he has been in Canada. And I know that you mentioned the fact that he's come up with some big moments against the Toronto Blue Jays, so that's probably working against him. But
It is.
I think that Canadian fans should forget about those moments and just realize that he's a true gem in this country for baseball in Canada. He's a proud Canadian. I know that his family are extremely proud Canadians. 3 first rounders. I don't know if you've ever talked about that, but the Naylor family has had 3 first rounders.
Well, and I just found out that Denzel Clark is their cousin.
I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I don't know what's happening in that family, but I want to know what they're eating.
No, we got to be nice to Josh Naylor, because their family is the foundation of Team Canada. Again, Denzel Clark is their cousin. They have Bo there. They have Josh there. By all reports and all accounts, he's like an unbelievable dude. That Josh Naylor's like a 10 out of 10 human being, great guy, awesome guy. I just don't think he resonates the same way because, one, he played in the National League. He's a first baseman, and he's, like I said, the counterpart to Vladdy. He played for the Seattle Mariners. And at this tournament, his most memorable moment up until this point is still dropping that ball at first base, right? And so if he has something against the United States, and if he's pivotal in terms of that type of a victory, or even if he's awesome and they lose, I do think that it will change a little bit of the perspective. But again, it's hard when you're right in the window of the Toronto Blue Jays, when that's what – think about how many people are not hardcore baseball fans in your life that now care so much about baseball because of the Blue Jays run. So if there's like a massive swath that only really knows Josh Naylor because he was playing extremely well against the Blue Jays and playing with the swagger that Josh Naylor brings to a baseball club, which is always going to rub some people the wrong way when it's not for your team. So I think that's really all it comes down to. It has nothing to do with like lack of respect for his game or not recognizing that he's an awesome talent or that he is proudly the captain of this baseball team, that he is clearly the best player in Team Canada right now. And he showed up for this tournament, is showing up wearing Jason Bay jerseys and Jerome McGinley jerseys and like is very, very obviously a big time proud Canadian. I just think it's that we don't have a moment with him where he's been on our side that has been really big, that has made people go like, oh, okay, this is our guy. We embrace him in a different way. And that's on the table for him too in this game against the States.
Yeah, you said that there's a big opportunity for Owen Casey, but there's also a huge opportunity for Josh Naylor.
Might even be bigger for him, to be honest.
Yeah, just because he deserves to be a household name in Canada more so than he has been over the last couple of years. I truly believe that if he comes up, I mean, we just talked about Owen Casey potentially coming up with a 3-for-5 game with a homer and a double. If Josh Naylor can come up with a big home run in a game like this, he's going to be a household name, whether he's playing for the Seattle Mariners, whether he's playing for the Tigers or whoever. I think that this is a bigger moment for him than even for an Owen Casey, and I'm really looking forward to seeing to seeing what jersey he wears to the field on Friday.
I think he wears one of his coaches. I think he wears a Morneau or a Martin.
Yeah, why not? Has he not worn a Morneau or a Larry Walker?
I don't know.
Even a Paul Quantrill New York Yankees jersey would be interesting.
That would be good too. I do care. I do want to see it. Last thing before you go, I got to ask you one Jays question, and that's just like, okay, so Yesavage throws this sim game yesterday, right? 2 innings.
Yeah.
He gets tattooed. It doesn't matter, right? Like, who cares? The results are completely meaningless. They just want to see him go out there. The only thing that has any meaning to me is, what does it tell you as a pitcher that it's March 11th yesterday when he threw? The season starts in a couple of weeks, that just now he's starting to throw sim games.
Well, I mean, I understand what they're doing. They don't want to rush him. They don't want to overuse him this season just because of how last season kind of worked out for him. He threw a lot more innings than they thought he was going to throw. And I haven't really spoken to anybody yet. I just got here a couple of days ago, and I did watch his sim game. I was behind the chain link fence watching his sim game. And he looked good. I mean, he got tattooed, but the fastball had good life to it. It had good down angle. He was throwing some strikes down in the strike zone. Unfortunately for him, he left some sliders over the heart of the plate, and I don't know who was hitting. I think it was a couple of minor league guys that really got to him, but they were able to have a good approach. There was one guy, he threw a slider down and away. I think it was a 2-0 count actually. And he threw a slider down and away, and whoever was in the batter's box just crushed it the other way for a single, just really squared it up, hit a good line drive. And I looked at Ben Schulman and I said, man, that was a really good swing. And it wasn't like, hey, that was a terrible pitch. What is Trey Yesavage doing? I really commented and noticed the swing that the guy took. So it's a sim game. It's March 11th. It's not a big deal. What I was really looking at was, is this stuff good? And the stuff was good. And that's all that I could ask for right now. In answer to your question about what the plan is for him, I think they're just taking it really slowly with him. I think that they're probably going to piggyback somebody with him when he does start. If he does start the season, I don't know if he's going to start the season.
Yeah, that's the bigger question for me.
Yeah.
Like they're going to piggyback him clearly. Like Lauer is going to be attached to his hip, I would guess, for at least a month through the season.
Yeah.
It's just more when do they start that?
Which is smart. Yeah. And I know that a lot of people are questioning the motive and is this a smart thing to do? And I think it's a fantastic thing to do, especially with a young guy who has questionable mechanics. You don't know how his body's going to react to the interesting mechanics that he has, just because he's not smooth. He doesn't have normal mechanics like a normal healthy pitcher would, and probably that's something the Blue Jays are looking at. They're looking at the arm angle. They're looking at the mechanics of Trey Yesavage and thinking, is this something that can work long term when he's throwing 200 innings? I think it can, just because he's shown that he's a guy that can stay healthy through the course of his short career. But at the same time, you just never know. And I think the Blue Jays are just being careful with that. And they want him to be healthy in August, September, and October. And it's pretty cool to think about the fact that we are confident that the Blue Jays are going to play in October.
Yeah.
I know this time last year I mentioned October and I mentioned the World Series and people were laughing at me.
I would have too.
Yeah, and now
I wrote them off after the home opener, man. I went to the home opener.
Well,
Tyler O'Neill hit a home run. I was like,
Toronto
Barrios looked horrible. And I was like, yeah. And you could feel it in the stands. Like, you could feel the crowd.
Yeah.
It was a different home opener. People were a little bit annoyed.
What was the score? I don't even remember.
It was a beatdown. I don't remember what the score was.
Yeah, but it wasn't good.
Buddy, I drank like 5 beers and a couple of cut waters. And I sat there and I grumbled about how it was another lost season. Like, I was out. I was totally out after one game home opener. No, I'm with you about the Yesavage stuff. I think, of course, they have to be careful. Like, look at what they're going through right now with Ricky Tiedemann, another guy with a weird arm angle, right? Like, weird mechanics. And they can't even get him to throw one time without him immediately being like, my elbow feels like it's going to burst into flames. They're like, all right, back to the rest for you. And they just had this with Alec Manoah, too, where they got a lot out of him, and then they just, like, lost him. So, yeah, I think Yesavage, they got to handle him properly. I don't care at all if they baby him to start the season. That's not an issue for me whatsoever. I guess the only reason I was so happy that he threw a sim game is that, like, okay, he's not hurt, and they're not hiding something, right? Because they're starting to get into the territory where you're like, this is now, if it had gone another week and he still hadn't thrown a sim game, I think we all know he's not starting the regular season. And then we're all kind of saying like, hey, are they covering something? Do they don't want it out there that he's hurt? Now we know he's not hurt. Great. Awesome. If he doesn't go first time through rotation, fine. They got enough arms to do it. I just want to know that he's going to be available. And most importantly, that they hope he'll be available for the end of the season. That's all I care about.
And I will say this, I pitched in those sim games before, a little bit different situation. My sim games generally have, 5 to 10 people standing behind that chain link fence. There was about 100 people standing behind that chain link fence. Ross Atkins was there. Pete Walker was there. There was probably about 25 to 30 minor leaguers watching that sim game. There were, I would guess, 20 media members, including myself. Ben Schulman was there watching the sim game. So you can imagine the energy that was there for Trey Yesavage. And keep in mind, when you're throwing in these backfields, all these people that are standing behind this chain link fence are maybe 15 feet from the catcher. So Trey Yesavage, whoever's on that mound, can feel all that energy. They can see Ross Atkins standing behind the chain link fence, Chris Leroux, Pete Walker, Ben Schulman, whoever else is standing behind that chain link fence. So it's really difficult to look good in those situations. And you have to give it to Trey Yesavage, because I've never pitched in something like that where there's, 100 people standing behind that chain link fence. There's radar guns up in the air and all kinds of nonsense. So for him to go out there and look as good as he did, you have to give him a little bit of respect. Yes, the numbers probably weren't fantastic. I saw a 3-run home run. I saw a couple of good line drives.
As long as you tell me he looked healthy and the stuff's there, it's good.
Yeah, and I know that people are questioning the fact that some random minor leaguer hit a 3-run home run, but that's, like you said, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the fact that, is he healthy? Is the fastball, is there some life to the fastball? Was the split finger okay? Was the slider okay? Those are the only things that I'm looking at. I couldn't care any less about the 3-run home run, about that good hit the other way, about the double in the gap. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is he healthy, and does the stuff look okay? And it did. It really did. And I know that there's probably some articles out there that say otherwise, but I was there. I was 20 feet from him, standing behind that chain link fence, and he looked good.
Chris Leroux, again, former MLB pitcher, 3 times represented the country at the World Baseball Classic, and I think you were on the Pan Am team. That was so fun. Pretty sure.
Yeah. So that was the apex of my time with Baseball Canada. We did it in Toronto. Yeah,
it was awesome.
And I think I was 3-0 in that tournament. I don't know. There was somebody sent me a.
You're like, I think I was 3-0. You wouldn't have thrown it out there.
I know there's a lot of random tournaments where you don't really get the stats and you don't see the history of.
I don't even know where you can find those stats.
Yeah. But somebody sent me a buddy of mine sent me a text recently, and he was like, and it said, "Did you know that at one point during your Baseball Canada career you were 10-0?" And I was just like, "No, I didn't know that, but that's awesome."
Yeah, that
I
is
wish you
awesome.
transferred that. I wish
Yeah,
you transferred that over to my professional
yeah,
career, man.
100%.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
man, again, congrats to you. Congrats to the program. It was great having you today. Thanks so much for making the time. We'll talk to you soon.
yeah. All good, dude. See you down at the ballpark.
Yeah, man. See you, buddy. Chris Leroux, again, 3 times with Team Canada. All right, we went long there. Let's take a quick break. The Raptors are in trouble. That's next.
University Health Network right here in Toronto has been ranked the #2 hospital in the world. Hi, I'm Julie Canville, CEO at UHN Foundation. Everything we do here is made possible by your support. The innovations, the breakthroughs, the world-leading healthcare that transforms lives in the GTA and across the world. At UHN, we're uniting the best teams and talent to create the best care for the people who need us. Get involved today at uhnfoundation.ca.
Great goal! Let's go to Dave at the bench.
Oh, what a shot, Gord.
Last time we spoke, you had been really tired. Not anymore.
Yeah, snoring all night. Losing sleep ruined your game.
Problem snoring? Suffer from sleep apnea? Invest in yourself. Call Dr. Paulette Pillersdorf. She'll use her laser to help treat your snoring and oral appliance like a sports mouth guard for your sleep apnea. Your partner will thank you.
Thanks, Gord.
Book your appointment with Dr. Paulette Pillersdorf. Call 647-243-2006.
Ontario is helping you keep more of what's yours. We cut gas and fuel taxes, saving households an average of $435. We scrapped the license plate sticker fee, saving you up to $720. We introduced One Fare, saving commuters on average $1,600 each and every year. And since 2018, we've never raised taxes, keeping costs down for families, workers, and businesses across the province. Learn more at ontario.ca/keeping costs down. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
The legendary Yeti thrives in cold environments.
Just like my Subaru, all-wheel drive is like having an extra pair of Yeti legs.
The Yeti's natural habitat is in colder climates, but it's been spotted all over Canada.
Just like Subaru, we go everywhere, enjoying winter with the little ones. They grow up so fast. Legendary winters await, so hurry into your local Subaru dealer for lease and finance rates as low as 0.5%. Conditions apply. See dealer for details. Subaru, uncommon comes standard.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
How's your French going?
You can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Spring is just around the corner, and that means Chevrolet's Truck Month is back. For a limited time, get 0% financing for 72 months on the 2026 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 Custom Trail Boss. Canada's most affordable 2-inch factory-lifted V8 truck. With Silverado's off-road capability combined with its powerful 5.3-liter V8 engine, you'll be ready to take on whatever lies ahead. Hurry in, Truck Month won't last long. Visit your local Chevrolet dealer for details.
Callum, about our relationship.
Should I call HR?
No, I mean Spence's relationship with Diamond Wholesalers.
Oh, yes. Going on 48 years. They love us and hate us.
Really?
Well, they love that we've bought a lot of diamonds over the years and pay up front. But they hate that we reject 70% of their diamonds.
We only accept 30%? That's picky.
That's why our diamonds outsparkle, like this 2-carat created oval for just under $2,600.
Or this 3-carat created oval for just under $4,000?
Extraordinary, isn't it? Stella, we're in the business of love, and love is picky.
You don't have to tell me. Try dating.
Brilliant diamonds, better prices. Come see the difference at Spence.
Across from Scarborough Town Centre, near Square One in Mississauga, and by Colossus Theatre in Vaughan.
A serious car accident can turn your life upside down, but a team of trusted legal and medical experts can get it back on track. I'm David Himmelfarb, HimPro's managing partner. Let our team of highly rated injury lawyers build you a winning case fast to deliver a big settlement. This proven system for success is the HimPro Advantage, and it's real. Call 833-4HIMPRO or visit himpro.ca today. HIMPRO, serious results for serious injuries fast.
HIMPRO.
University Health Network has been named the #2 hospital in the world. I'm Kevin Smith, President and CEO of UHN. We're united to create the best care, education, and research. Visit uhnfoundation.ca.
This week at Real Canadian Superstore, get 2 kilogram bags of Lantic granulated white sugar for only $1.88. Plus, get it delivered with your first year of PC Express Pass for just $2.50 per month. Conditions apply. See flyer for details at superstore.ca/flyer.
Leon's True North Super Sale is on now. Save up to 50% on select living room furniture, bedroom sets, and more. Plus, save the tax on select appliance packages.
Sportsnet 590, The Fan.
So yesterday I went from watching the exhilaration of the World Baseball Classic to tuning into the Toronto Raptors. And I will admit that I threw on the Raptors game as like passive viewing because they were playing the New Orleans Pelicans. So I'm thinking to myself, hey, this is another scheduled Raptors game. They'll probably collect a win. Things aren't going very well for the ball club right now. I've been over this now. I feel like I'm getting so repetitive with the Raptors that they're becoming increasingly difficult to talk about. I said yesterday, I actually don't think that the feeling watching them and the Maple Leafs right now is all that different. I just don't. They're both depressing. Neither team has a lot of interesting components to observe. They are kind of proving out who they are, and it's actually getting even worse. This season started with a lot of excitement for the Raptors. Yes, the opponents were questionable. We always mention that. It was always, hey, you can only play who's in front of you, and they were playing with energy. They were passionate. They were playing with defense. Scotty Barnes looked like he was taking a step. Brandon Ingram looked like he was a solution to one of their biggest problems, which was late quarter scoring. They seemed to have found a fan favorite in Jamal Shed. The coach seemed to be resonating in a way that I got excited anyways, thinking, you know what? Maybe this guy wasn't just a development coach. Maybe this guy's here for the long haul. He might actually be somebody. And last night they got just punked. Like, there's just no other way to put it. They got punked by an inferior opponent, a team that they should have body bagged, especially considering that they had lost 5 of their last 7 games. Yeah, I think that's right. Because now I think they've lost 6 of their last 8. And it's not just like losing. It's how you lose. That these things are graded out. We're watching the way that you're playing right now. And the Raptors are, to steal a Sheldon Keefe quote, soft and purposeless. Like, they don't play hungry. They don't play like a team full of guys that have been doubted around the entire NBA and by their own fans at this point, to be honest. They play like a bunch of guys that are just kind of happy to be there outside of RJ Barrett, who seems to be the #1 guy that they're going to move out in a trade during the offseason, and yet wears the Raptors uniform with a lot of pride, and you can see it in his game. The rest of this team, like, what are you doing? I'm going to talk about this more with Armin later because we're short on time here, but watching a player get stood over top of him and Jamal Shed by DeJounte Murray after he crosses him over to the point where he falls down, gets in his face and screams in it, and then to have only Emmanuel Quickley be this one teammate that kind of like casually saunters over and gets in DeJounte's face. Like, they don't look like a connected group. They do not look like a team of guys that want to show you something. They look like a team that's ready to basically have all of the goodwill that they built up in the first half of the season evaporate down the stretch without something drastic changing. So I do not feel good about the state of the Toronto Raptors. I don't think anybody does. And yeah, now they're in a play-in spot. And what happens if they lose a play-in game? It's not good, man. It's not even not good. It's quite bad, actually. It's quite bad. Quick break. Jackie Redmond is next.
Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair. Ever order furniture online and wonder what if? Like, what if it doesn't hold up? That sofa was 4 days old. You should have ordered from Wayfair. With Wayfair, there's no what if. Just style you love and quality you can trust. Visit wayfair.ca.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
The Marks This Is Big event is on now. Until March 25th, save up to 60% on your favorite brands with a wide selection of jeans, jackets, tees, hikers, and more. This is Big event on now at Marks and Marks.com.
Great goal! Let's go to Dave at the bench.
Oh, what a shot, Gord. Last time we spoke, you had been really tired. Not anymore.
Yeah, snoring all night, losing sleep, ruined your game.
Problem snoring? Suffer from sleep apnea? Invest in yourself. Call Dr. Paulette Pillersdorf. She'll use her laser to help treat your snoring and oral appliance like a sports mouth guard for your sleep apnea. Your partner will thank you.
Thanks, Gord.
Book your appointment with Dr. Paulette Pillersdorf. Call 647-243-2006.
Meet iPhone 17e. A whole lot for a lot less. With an almighty all-powerful A19 chip. And Ceramic Shield 2, built to survive this. And this. And a 48-megapixel fusion camera with 2 times optical quality zoom. And double the starting storage of iPhone 16e. And long-lasting battery life for hours of watching the studio.
That's the dream!
And it comes with Apple Intelligence. And you can charge it with USB-C or with MagSafe accessories. And a whole lot more. All for a lot less. Get the new iPhone 17e at Rogers today. Battery life varies by use. Pricing compared to iPhone 17.
It's not St. Patty's without shamrocks. It's not a gift without a bow. It's not a bachelorette without sashes. And with thousands of products under $5, it's not a party till you stopped at Party City. Party City, Canada. Now it's a party.
UHN has just been ranked the #2 hospital in the world. Hi, I'm Julie Kenville, CEO at UHN Foundation. Donor support helps us recruit the best doctors to care for our community. Help us today at uhnfoundation.ca.
It's Subway's Lunch, Not Luck, where it's a win every day of the week. What's the win? Take it away, Kyle.
It's Subway's Meal of the Day, only $7.99. A 6-inch sub, a drink and chips, or 2 cookies. Enjoy a different sub every day, like Veggie Delight on Monday, Cold Cut Combo on Wednesday, or even Sweet Onion Chicken Teriyaki on Sunday.
That's right. 7 days, 7 meals, $7.99 each. Subway's Meal of the Day. Winning isn't luck, it's lunch.
Price and participation may vary. Extras, bottled beverages, taxes, and fees for delivery additional.
Life's noisy enough. Everything demands your attention. So here's something rare. Ah, silence. It's underappreciated, kind of like windows from Magic. With retractable bug screens that only appear when you need them, you'll never worry about a dirty screen ever again. While others add to the noise, Magic cuts right through it. Find out more at magicwindow.ca.
Volksfest is back with the season's biggest deals. Or are they the smallest rates? For up to 36 long months, get just a teeny-weeny 1.99% financing on the 7-seat Atlas, the fuel-efficient Jetta, and more. And don't make any payments for 90 whole days. So are these gigantic savings or puny rates? However you see it, don't miss Volksfest. On at your local Volkswagen dealer until March 31st. Conditions apply.
Volkswagen. Ontario is helping you keep more of what's yours. We cut gas and fuel taxes, saving households an average of $435. We scrapped the license plate sticker fee, saving you up to $720. We introduced One Fare, saving commuters on average $1,600 each and every year. And since 2018, we've never raised taxes, keeping costs down for families, workers, and businesses across the province. Learn more at ontario.ca/keeping costs down. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
Get 20 or 30,000 points at Shoppers Drug Mart. A $20 or $30 value. Open your app, shop, and scan. This Friday and Saturday. Conditions in-app.
CJCL Toronto.
Why do you still keep it around when you know it brings me down? I'm hating everything. And I know that you dated other guys, but I gotta wonder why you leave it out for me.
She's been gone from the show for weeks and weeks and weeks. She's too big time. It's Jackie Redmond. What's up, Jackie?
Rude. What a rude way to greet me for the first time in like 6 weeks or however
I know,
long
it's been a long time.
Are we like pre-Christmas? The last time I was on?
No, it's March. It wasn't pre-Christmas.
So January?
Yeah.
I had to have been on in January.
Yeah,
then.
well, when did the Olympics start?
February.
So
But I was in Saudi Arabia the week before that.
Right.
And Germany the week before that. And Ireland the week before that. So I'm just
Globetrotter.
I'm wondering if we've done a 2026
No, we have.
Bunk collab.
January 29th, the guys just told me it was the last time you were on.
Oh, so I came on right before the Olympics.
Yeah,
You got me.
Right
You got
before
me.
right before the Olympics. Yeah, Globetrotter. I honestly don't know how you do the travel. Like, I get so wiped out from one day of a flight that it takes me probably, and I guess maybe just like you do it so much you get used to it. But I genuinely am the type of person who's like, the cliche needs a vacation from the vacation. And I know it's not vacation, it's work. So you're not exactly like doing what I do, which is go to a country and then drink my face off for 2 weeks. And then I'm like, why am I so tired back at work immediately after? But I can't imagine being on a plane for this amount of time that you do and then rallying to just go back to work the next day.
You know, it's so funny that you make that comparison because I've been making that exact comparison ever since I got back from the Olympics, which is, you know, that when you come back from a vacation and you say you need a vacation from a vacation,
yeah,
like,
it's the worst. And it's the worst thing that a person can say to you.
That's where I live.
Yeah.
That's my baseline.
Yeah.
But like, I'm blessed and to be booked and busy. So I honestly sometimes hate even talking about it because I feel guilty even being like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired.
Well, you don't want the alternative.
Yeah, like like one day I won't have this lifestyle. And so I think about that a lot. And so I want to enjoy it while I can and make the most of it and drink a lot of coffee and like get over it. So yeah, the only time it really, really irritates me is when I try to play pickleball when I come home and I'm absolutely atrocious. Like when I got back from the Olympics, one of the guys that I regularly play with just held up a sign from across the courts that just said, learn to play Tuesdays at 6. And I was just like, I can't even say anything because I'm that terrible right now. So anyway.
So your pickleball game has suffered. Ultimately, you're doing all right, though. Okay, before we get into the stuff that you want to talk about in terms of the market, like how were the Olympics?
Oh my gosh, invigorating. I keep saying it was both the longest and fastest 3 weeks of my life. Like it was such a grind. I've never done it before. But it was so fun. It brought me back to my childhood a little bit. I don't know why, because I'm in arenas all the time. Like I do games every week. And then in the playoffs, I do 2 months straight. But for some reason, like this brought out the kid in me a little bit that would either be playing in hockey rinks every weekend or watching my sister play in hockey rinks every weekend and sort of being with the parents during intermissions, like honestly outside, like when they're having a cigarette, talking about like who should be on the power play. Like for some reason, it brought me back to that. Just kind of my original sort of the roots of why I love the game to begin with. And in a lot of ways, I think because I wasn't traveling, I wasn't at an airport for 3 weeks. I didn't get on a plane for 3 weeks. I was in one time zone and all I was doing was hockey. There was no WWE. So my entire focus was on hockey. And I think in a lot of ways, it just kind of like, this is going to sound really cheesy, but it's just the truth. Like it kind of like woke my spirit up a little bit for the whole reason that I even try to do this, you know, like as a woman, sometimes I still fall into the trap of feeling like I have to prove myself and prove how much I know and how hockey smart I am. And I do it even on TNT. I'll be like, oh, I need to come up with the perfect stat or the perfect hit to do in the first period. And I never want to do the obvious thing or the basic thing. And I think in the Olympics, what I realized is that what I love is like really the heart of the game. And what's at the heart of the game is storytelling. And I got to do a lot of that through interviews and through reports in Italy. And I think that it just kind of reminded me that capturing the spirit of the thing is really what it's all about, whether that's in victory or defeat. Mm-hmm. And I just feel really like grateful that I had the opportunity, and I'm excited to cover the playoff run this year with TNT and sort of remind myself of what it felt like to forget sometimes just about stats and numbers and trying to have this like knowledgeable report and just tell the story that's right there because it's what people connect with the most. And so I just feel I'm like waxing poetic right now. I didn't intend to, but I kind of feel closer to the game than I have in a really long time. So
I think that's
I'm
important.
very happy.
I think that's important for people when it comes to coverage. Because I've felt the weight of that. The ideas of, listen, anybody that's in sports media has turned a passion into a career. And it's an awesome thing to do, right? Like it's very cool. The whole saying of like, you'll never work another day in your life, though, that's a lie. That's clearly a lie. there's a lot of
Wrong.
Like,
I did a lot of work in
yeah,
Italy.
there might be some jobs, but that you'll never work another day in your life. But it's not this one.
It's called billionaire status.
Yeah,
then maybe you could just go not work.
Yeah, yacht salesman probably not really feeling like too heavy a lift. But listen, with professional sports, this is the way that it goes. Like right now with the Leafs and the Raptors, it feels like a job. I do not want to watch Toronto Maple Leafs games. I would literally, like, if I wasn't paid to do this right now, I wouldn't be watching any of these games. I'd be checking the box scores because I really care about the tank. But there's no part of me that's like, ooh, I really can't wait for this game. Yesterday with the Raptors were the same thing. They're playing the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm like, ugh, all right, grind. Turn the tape on, make sure that I'm paying attention to this thing. But you watch a lot of listless professional sports, and it's uber millionaire athletes, and there's all these fans in the building, and they're dying to get in there. And they get results like the one that the Raptors delivered yesterday or that the Leafs have delivered 8 times in a row. And you do feel a little disconnected from it. You can have these feelings where you start to, I don't think resent the sport or your job, but just resent doing the day-to-day operations of it and question what it is that you're doing as a part of this or how fun this actually is. And then you get moments like yesterday with, for me, the World Baseball Classic, where Canada's playing Cuba, and you're just seeing guys show up there for the love of the game. Like James Paxton comes out. He's been out of baseball for 2 years. He came off of, I think it was an Achilles tear, and he's out there throwing 97 for Team Canada, doing his absolute best for the love of the game to just try to get this thing done. And I'm not a huge Olympics guy. Like, I'm not. I love the hockey. I just tune in for really that. I love the curling. Everything else is more like, oh, are we in a gold medal? Like in the short track speed skating? All right, I'll tune in. I'll enjoy this. But I'm not super nuts about it. But what I do care about is exactly that, is that when you're at these events, like the World Baseball Classic, and why the Blue Jays felt so special is because they did resonate with the fan base, because they did have a connectivity to this city and to this country, and they played with the kind of style and flair that you think of with people that aren't playing for money, that people are playing for a larger purpose and for the love of the game. When you get those moments in sports, God, it's so refreshing. God, it feels good. God, it feels like you're just exactly back into what you got into it for.
Yeah, it's the absolute best. And I think the Blue Jays, World Series run is a great example, because I think part of what, and we talked about this at the start of the Leaf season, which makes it so interesting that it's kind of like coming around full circle. We talked about how likable the Jays were.
Yeah.
And the reason the Jays were so likable is because they were so open with themselves.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like there was never, and listen, obviously when you're winning, it's easier to be that way. We all know that. But I think at its core,
but the Leafs were winning, and did you feel like that with their runs to the playoffs?
They had a decade run of making the playoffs every year, winning the division, competing for the division title, where you didn't feel that. So great counter by you. And I think what that came from with the Blue Jays and what you're seeing with Team Canada in baseball right now is that like there is like a freedom, and you're seeing people that are just so happy to be where they're at and to try to give everything they have to accomplish something that means something to them because they care about the sport or they care about the country. And obviously we're coming off an Olympic loss for Team Canada in both men's and women's hockey. And so I think that stuff reverberates, because as Canadians, a lot of our identity as a country is tied up in hockey. That's just the facts. And so when you get to be a part of that, whether the team wins or loses, and to try to capture those moments and capture, I had the privilege of interviewing Marie-Philippe Poulin multiple times, but specifically after the women's team lost the gold. This woman has won everything. She cannot be more respected in the world of sport in our country than she is. She is an absolute class act. And she had trouble putting sentences together after that loss. And she wasn't talking about herself and how bad she wanted that win. She was talking about how bad she wanted it for her teammates, of course, but also for the country, how much it means to her to just continue that legacy of Canadian women dominating the hockey scene. And so when someone who's accomplished that much is, and I'm not talking like a little bit of tears, I'm talking like when you're crying, when you're fighting it so bad that you can't speak, right? Like the look to the sky. Like I got one of those when I was interviewing her, like, God, I just don't want to cry right now. And so I think that humanity means something to people. And I think it's important that we tell those stories and try to capture those moments, the highs and the lows. And I guess what I'm trying to say is just that I want more of that in my sports. And even when it's if someone's angry or someone's frustrated, like real human emotions are okay. I think it's when teams and players try to shelter themselves is when we create distance. And I started this by saying I've never felt closer to hockey than I do now. And I want to find ways to create that now for myself, because it makes my job more fun, but also because I think that people watching will also gain something from that. Like, how can I make other people feel as close to the sport as they've ever felt? And I feel like in a way I've kind of tapped into something there. And that's my goal now. My goal is not to like prove how smart I am or how much I know or like come up with some golden nugget that like I will really care about, but everyone watching the game will forget like 20 seconds after the hit's over. So yeah, I'm kind of rambling, but
no,
you know
I
what
think
I'm
that
saying.
if you can't tap into the emotional side of sports, and that's why, to be honest, like, I don't view myself as like an analytics hater. I really don't. I think
Me either.
it probably comes off that way at times, but the reason why it does is I find there's a lot of good information there. There's a lot of things that help you inform what it is that you're watching, especially as a professional or even as just like a fan who wants to know more about a sport or better absorb what it is that you're watching. But there's like a coldness to it that, and of course that's the way, that's the numbers. It's like, it doesn't really appeal to me. I could never just be like a stat sheet guy or a numbers guy, because the human element to me is what is by far the most compelling thing about sports. And as you were saying this, it actually brings me back to something that I kind of wanted to talk to you about, I wanted to talk more about when Canada finished at the Olympics, but I didn't really make space for it because it was so traumatic, that loss, and it was so painful that I didn't want to like revisit thoughts. But okay, so the NHL goes to the Four Nations, right? They host this tournament, and it's an unbelievable success. And the NBA world starts talking about like, hey, maybe we've got to revamp our All-Star game. Like maybe we need to pivot what exactly we're going to do here. And they did some minor change, and it worked out where they go, we're going to have an international team face a young team and a old team from USA. It's not the same. And the only reason that it worked is that one guy, French guy, Victor Wembanyama, actually gave a crap about it and forced other players to care. So they had a successful event. But the thing that really stuck out about the Four Nations and what did transplant over back to the Olympics with having best on best, for me anyways, is the import of having more events like this where there is international play, because you get to see a different level of passion from players, and that like we are just playing for the love of the game component. We are more just being representative of something greater than simply our paycheck or the organization that we play for. That sports, and I think that this really does come down more to hockey and basketball, because they've got these 82 and NHL soon to be 84 game schedules with regular seasons that have long stretches where there isn't a lot that's overly compelling, where you've got load management in the NBA or a lot of nights where the players take games off. You get the same thing with hockey. Like you watch a listless team throughout the course of a regular season. Playoffs are always going to hit because why? Guys care. But
Well, it comes out. That's where it comes out.
But that's it. But in terms of these sports, making sure that they're able to sell and brand their players better, I think that one of the best things for it is going to be like this World Baseball Classic, where guys are there for the love of the game. This Olympics, where guys are there for just the love of the game, and you get to watch them play with passion and do it for something that isn't just this outsized, incredible, massive paycheck that most of these players, especially the ones that are on these international rosters, are making. And I think weirdly, now it has never been more important for professional sports leagues, and primarily those two, but I would say baseball, in terms of growing out the World Baseball Classic and maybe starting to show up at the Olympics, because 2028 is going to be big for them in terms of Los Angeles and being able to capitalize on USA baseball, Canada baseball, international baseball, especially what you see with like the Dominican Republic right now, where it's like so unbelievably fun. You just want to see more of that, that it actually means more now than it ever has before in the era of content competition and listless regular seasons. You've got to make sure you emphasize international play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's crystal clear how much it grows the game, right? Like the Olympics were such a almost like shocking. How have we kept NHLers from doing this for as long as we have? Because people could still, we've been back for 2 weeks. People still cannot get enough Olympic content out of these hockey players. I mean, like, just the press run that Megan Keller and Jack Hughes have been on has been like iconic. It's been unbelievable. And so I think it's obviously so good for the sport. And I think you're right. I think baseball probably saw Four Nations and saw how all of this stuff has helped hockey, I think. And I mean, Four Nations, I feel like hockey kind of like fell into that. Like, I wasn't sure if it was going to work, and then it absolutely did. So hopefully we do see more of it. I cannot wait until the next time we see Team USA, Team Canada best on best. I can't wait to see like what some of these other teams bring, or other countries, I should say, bring to the table the next time around, because we saw a lot of growth from other countries in men's and women's hockey as well. So it matters more than I think people realized before last year's Four Nations, maybe. Especially like the generation that would be like, how old would they be now? Like 10, 12, that have never seen NHLers at the Olympics. Like, those kids got that for the first time, which is like crazy to me.
Yeah. I can't believe it was that long. I can't believe it was so long that, again, there was the photos of Macklin Celebrini where he was like celebrating 2010, and you're like, oh, we've been gone a long time.
What an absolute stud.
Yeah.
Like, that kid was like, I actually can't, my brain during the Olympics was just like, how though? Like, how are you so unfazed, so comfortable, so everything? And then you hear John Cooper talk about him and talk about how in a matter of one game, he was able to completely take the risk out of his game and do things that coaches try to teach young players over the course of like a couple of years when they start their career as offensively gifted guys, to try to add other elements where maybe they don't take as much risk or they don't do certain things. And John Cooper was like, his ability to adjust in a couple of days to what we were coaching him was kind of the most impressive thing for him. And I was like, wow, that's coming from John Cooper, who's coached a lot of different players at a lot of different like stages of their career. So yeah, Macklin Celebrini, what a kid.
Yeah, he's unreal.
Literally. Like,
unreal.
The fact that he almost wasn't there.
Yeah.
Nuts.
At one point, he almost wasn't there, but then for the regular season, probably like a month in, he was there.
After the first month,
Yeah.
it was pretty, he should probably go.
Well, to be honest, though, it's like, to kind of tie up this conversation, I think that part of the reason why he was able to be successful, like, there's a multitude of reasons, right? You probably look at the fact that, you know, his family is involved in professional sports, so his preparation would have been different than other kids. He's unbelievably talented, and so when you're really good at something, you're more likely to have success. But I do think one of the factors for him is that he cares so much, that he's so passionate, that he has that it factor of, when I show up to do something, I want to do it to the best, that helps you. And I guess the greater point here is that when we see athletes care, when we see athletes be really invested, we're likely to be invested too. And that's been kind of the disconnect with a lot of these teams. And this isn't just like a Toronto thing. This is a lot of other sports too. And that's what I'm saying about the importance of having these events, is that we have reached a bit of an era with pro sports, in particular the two, NBA and to a lesser extent hockey, but I still think it's there with the length of this season, where the professionalism has kind of caught up and there are fewer games that you show up to and you feel like an urgency from the group. All right, I want to go to something else, because you had texted me about some of the topics you want to hit on today, and I think that this is a pretty good way to get into this. So yesterday, did you see Mike Harrington's tweet?
Was his about the room being empty and PR just bringing out guys?
Correct. Okay. So
yes, I loved it.
Yeah. So Mike Harrington, if you don't know, longtime Sabres columnist, a guy who's been involved in the sports forever. I think that Toronto fans would know him most from, he showed up at the Mike Babcock press conference and was like, "Did you lie to Buffalo?" He's like, "Did you tell the Sabres you were coming?"
You know what though?
Yeah.
Like, respect for having the guts to ask. Like, because people are talking about it.
Of course.
That is a journalist's job.
Of course. I've said this over and over and over again, that we need people that have those kind of questions at media conferences, because if it's just too friendly the entire time, you get sort of blasé answers and you get the same thing over and over again. It's way too tepid. But he wrote this, quote, I'm really sick of this narrative. It's so hard to play for the Leafs. What garbage. They trot 2 or 3 guys into an empty locker room at every morning skate and game. I've been there to talk 2-3 minutes, and that's it. It's the most media-sheltered hockey team I've ever seen. Again, this is a longtime sports journalist who's covered a lot of different teams, okay? And I don't think that this should be like dismissed where it's like, oh, you don't know, you're in Buffalo. It's like, no. This guy is a columnist for the Sabres who has traveled around to multiple arenas, seen many different teams. And I am curious about what your observations are of that as someone who does go into those locker rooms all over the NHL and sees all of these different markets and the feeling of like the media pressure when it comes to game in, game out for the Leafs.
Well, I'll preface it by saying this. Nobody is saying that it's easy to play in Toronto. It's not. But newsflash, never changing. Never, ever changing. Mm-hmm. But this narrative that like the media makes it so hard to play there. Here's how it works. Okay. It's got the biggest fan base in hockey that has turned it into a multi-billion-dollar franchise. So when you make billions of dollars because you have the most eyeballs on your product, you're going to garner media attention. So it's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. So the question for the organization becomes, how do we manage expectations? How do we manage pressure? How do we manage access to our players? And how do we manage accountability as a team? Those things are not the responsibility of the fans or of the media. That's not what they're there for. The fans are there to cheer. They can criticize and do whatever they want because they're the reason that the team is as successful financially as it is. And the media is there to cover the story. So if you suck, I'm sorry, that's the story. That's what has to be covered. And if you're good, the media will cover that. That's literally how it works. But I think where the disconnect is I think, and listen, I know Pat Maroon made his comments and a lot of people said, well, he played, so he knows. He can speak from his perspective. I've never played in the NHL. You don't need to tweet me that. I'm aware. I know that. But what I have done is I've been in 16 different dressing rooms while those 16 teams were actively playing in a Stanley Cup final. And what I can tell you based on what I saw with my own eyeballs is that different teams manage access and manage accountability in very different ways. And I think what Mike's alluding to is, in hockey, for people that don't know, and I don't want to go on this long tangent, but I feel like I have to explain.
No, you got it.
They'll say, hey, morning skates happening, right? Games that night. Morning skates wrapping up. PR will let the media know, hey, room's open. What that means is different from team to team. For the Florida Panthers, room open means you go in, there's guys everywhere. They haven't waited until all the guys that don't want to do media have done what they needed to do and hit the other room. And it's empty and they're going to bring out 2 or 3 guys. The Florida Panthers, you go in there, there's players everywhere. And you know what that does? It causes all that media at a Stanley Cup final to separate. Oh, well, Brad Marchand's over here, but Sam Bennett's over here, but I really want to talk to this person. I got to go over there. So it creates a buzz and an energy in the room that honestly is really fun. It actually feels less stiff. But when you open your room and you walk into an open room, and the Leafs are not the only team guilty of this, by the way, it's completely empty. It's dead silent. And the PR says, this player, and this player are going to be made available. You stand in the middle of the room, you wait for that player to come out. And then what happens is when, Mitch Marner comes out, he does have all 25 microphones and reporters in his face because there's no one else in the damn room. So everyone is around him. And then he does his 2-3 minutes and he goes. And that's fine. Teams, it's their prerogative, however they want to do it. But what I can tell you is that the 8 teams that I have covered that have won a Stanley Cup all had very loose open rooms. And that includes the Edmonton Oilers, by the way. I know they haven't won, but when they've been in the Stanley Cup final, and Connor McDavid, who now is the new Ovechkin with the tag, like, can he ever win? Can he ever actually win? Was a part of that. And when you went to their room after a morning skate, there were guys around. Now, was McDavid sitting in his stall waiting? No, but you could request to have him if you wanted him. You wouldn't always get him, but sometimes you would. And the point that I'm trying to make is that organizations do have a choice of how they want to run their room and what an open room actually means. And there is a difference and a different weight. And I think, what I thought of when I saw that tweet is coming off of the Olympics, right? A great example is you're Team Canada, right? We've already talked about how much Canadians identify with hockey as part of our character, our personality, our culture, whatever. Those guys are there. And don't say, oh, well, it's easier because they've won. There was only 2 players on Team Canada that have been to the Olympics before, Sidney Crosby, Drew Doughty. Now, there are certain superstars that were at the Olympics that played for other countries that I could not get. They just weren't as available. Mm-hmm. But in the matter of, 10 days that the men's hockey was happening, I got Sidney Crosby on 6 different occasions, including after the gold medal game that Team Canada lost that he didn't even play in. So if Sidney Crosby, of all people, can make himself available to Eurosport, okay, not a top rights holder in Canada or the US, for 6 different interviews while also doing CBC, Sportsnet, RDS, friggin' Swedish TV, like all of these different places, then to me, like no other player, to me, like from this point forward, like no other superstar player can, like, to me, like I can't take it serious if it's like, oh, they've done too much. Like I had one player I was trying to get at one point multiple times, and I was told, oh, he plays a lot of minutes, he needs a rest, he can't do it. Can't do this 30-second intermission interview, which to me is a joke, because intermission interviews might be the easiest thing to do ever because it's one question because you don't have time for anything else and it's game related. So that's the biggest thing for me is when you see someone like Sidney Crosby make time like that when he absolutely doesn't have to because he's hurt, then there's really no excuse for anyone else to be like, I can't do it. Or they're too busy, or they didn't have a good game, or they play too many minutes. And then from the Toronto perspective, like just this idea that it's the only hard place to play, or they're the only superstars that deal with pressure. Connor McDavid would have something to say about that. I was there in 2018 when Alexander Ovechkin had gone 13 years in his career as a face of the league and hadn't won a Stanley Cup. And it was all, oh, he's not a winner. He can't beat Sidney Crosby. To make matters worse, he was getting eliminated by Sidney Crosby every year in the playoffs. You don't think that comes with criticism and pressure and articles and all of that? And social media was around in 2018 as well. And yet when I covered that Cup final, like many of the teams that I've already mentioned, like the Florida Panthers, that room was open. You could talk to anybody on the Washington Capitals on a game day, minus the goaltender maybe, that's just the way it is. But Alexander Ovechkin did media. Mm-hmm. He was there after morning skates doing it. And I don't recall him ever complaining about it.
There's too many cameras here.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pressure. And that's not in Toronto. That's in an American market where during the regular season, there isn't as much media in Washington. There isn't. But when the stakes were the highest and Alexander Ovechkin was 4 wins away from potentially winning a Stanley Cup, he was out there. He was in the room. The team was not sheltering him from talking. So I just think the narrative has gotten a little bit out of hand. Yes, it's hard to play in Toronto, but the best players in the world and the best teams in the world find a way to manage that pressure and manage that stress and perform under those conditions anyways. Because probably to some degree, their love of the game and their desire to win is so strong that they can't allow that to be a reason for their failure. So I don't know. I keep talking. I don't even know where to end this.
No, that's good.
But it's just, to me, it's like seeing the way that winning teams and winning superstars handle it tells you everything that you need to know. It's not the media or the fans' job to make a superstar comfortable.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really well said.
Fall around. I'm going to say one more. I got one more.
Go ahead.
Like I don't even have kids, but this might be faux pas for me to speak because I'm not a parent. But if you follow a toddler around and pick them up every time they fall, 2 things are going to happen. Number 1, you're teaching them that nothing bad will happen if you fall. You'll be fine. We'll take care of it. And number 2, the next time they fall, if you're not there, they're probably just going to sit there because they're going to be expecting someone to come pick them up. So if that's the way you're going to treat your superstars as an organization, and again, this isn't about the Leafs, this happens in other places too, then I don't know what you expect, because the standard is being set by the organization. Nobody else.
I think that's Unbelievably well said. And I also think it's very important. Listen, there's going to be some people who listen to this segment.
They're going to hate it.
Well, no, there's just going to be some people who are like, oh, media getting their backs up because they get accused of X and they don't want to take their own accountability for their thing. It's like, this isn't for you. I mentioned this when people were outcrying about different political stuff when it came to the USA hockey team a couple of weeks ago. And my only point was, there's a lot of you whose minds are already made up. Like, you've already decided what your position is on this issue. I'm not speaking to you. The people that I'm speaking to, the ones that are open-minded and do want to know more of the day-to-day and are trying to think about reasons why something isn't working or what the nuances are of a situation. And for me, I think you nailed two things here in that explanation, which is, one, this is a city and this is a organization, in my opinion, that in a weird way embraces the idea that the media, quote unquote, or the market pressures are so real that they have to be the ones that protect their players and limit that access and create these situations where it does feel more adversarial, where it does feel more sterilized, where it does feel like you're not in your dressing room chopping it up with your teammates and then being asked some questions. You're now entering into what is actually now the media's space, and you are doing something that is materially different than your normal preparation. They like it. They like being able to say, we're limiting the access. We need to make sure that we're protecting our players. We've got to be PR sanitized. We've got to watch what we say. We've got to watch what we do. We got to make sure that we pick the right times where the cameras are on, because we don't want to open up any added media pressure to these players who are already dealing with so much. They like creating that atmosphere because when things are going poorly, you have another excuse for these guys. You get to say, well, we did everything that we possibly could to protect you from the big bad evils of the outside world, when the reality of the situation is, if it was less sanitized, if it was less PR driven, if it was more open and it was more human, all of this would feel far more normal than it actually is. And that's why I think the Mike Harrington tweet and the things that you're saying actually matter in terms of perspective for fans, because you are supposed to hold your team accountable. You are supposed to hold your organization accountable. And if you continue to lose media people who are going to say those things, and you just end up with like ultimately PR guys that are just like, oh yeah, this is great. Everything's fine. Hey, you know what? Raptors, Leafs, do your thing right now. Like it's all good what the Leafs are doing. Hey, it's fine. Show up and just root on the team. You're not going to like the way that this is going in 5-10 years. And lastly, all I'll say is I'm not, again, bringing this up because I care about the perception of me or other media members. Like, I just don't care. I really couldn't care less. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because I think that it is service to fans. The idea that sometimes your team does not do something a certain way or is not built a certain culture or is not as effective because of an outsized source boogeyman that is ultimately having some dire impact on the way that these guys can go about their business. It's just factually untrue. It's gaslighting, it's lying. And again, those organizations are embracing it.
And I think too, like, to add more to that, because, you know, the narratives, like, they just run wild.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, it's part of what makes it fun, honestly, when you step back and just go, there's always something to talk about, right? In these major markets. And Toronto's not the only one. Like, tell me you have never tapped into New York Rangers social media or media content in general.
That's your
Tell
own
me
bubble.
you're not reading what people are saying about the Vancouver Canucks. Tell me you're not paying attention to what they're saying in Pittsburgh when the Pens are bad. Like, there is pressure in other places, and there's also criticism. But the majority, I would say, of criticism, because I am a Leafs fan at heart. It's where I'm from. It's a very personal thing for me with my dad. And so I read everything and I consume everything. And the majority of criticism is online. It's not even in the articles or on the panels or on the shows. It's not where it is.
Certainly not in
And
the
that's just
room
a
when these guys are asking their questions.
It's not. And I think that, you know, another thing that I can speak to firsthand as somebody that interviews players, and granted, I'm not asking like super hard hitting questions, right? Like, I'm not going up to McDavid because I'm not a beat reporter. I'm not on the same team every day. So I'm not going up to McDavid and saying, why can't you win a Stanley Cup? Like, I'm not doing that. But I can speak to the fact that over time, when you have access to players, there's a reason I had such great relationships with a lot of the, let's say, veteran players on Team USA, because I had access to them. I had access to Jack Eichel his whole career, both in Buffalo and in Vegas, part of that is a credit to Jack for making himself available to the media, but part of that is a credit to the teams that he played for, making him available, including at a time when his relationship with the Sabres wasn't even that good.
Mm-hmm.
And I still was able to talk to him, even though that entire ordeal with the trade and the surgery and all of the layers to that, I still got to interview him all the time on a talk show where the interview is 10 minutes. So because of that, when you allow media to have access to your players, those relationships build and there becomes a mutual respect and understanding. And so when things are hard or things don't go well, you're still able to tell those stories in a way that is respectable to the players and where you don't feel this like there are certain guys in the league where I feel like, listen, man, I'm just trying to like, maybe you don't know what like my brand is, but like, I'm not trying to get you, you know, I'm trying to like tell your spot. There are certain people that feel that way. And I think it's not even their fault. I think it's the result of kind of however their career's gone and the places that they've played and things that have happened. Right. So, you know, I guess my point is that the players that I have the best relationships with and I get the best sort of most personal interviews with are the guys that make themselves accessible to people, to have real conversations.
But again,
not
that
a
makes
2-minute, 30-person scrum where all you can ask is like a quick little thing. There's no real human interaction.
No.
So, and
you
that's,
have to
I can only
fake laugh
speak that,
at a
you know,
terrible
I'm
joke.
selfishly, yeah. And I'm selfishly, you know, speaking from a place of what serves me, of course. But I do think that there is a lot to be gained from a healthy relationship with the people, especially that are covering your team every day.
Of course.
They're there every day.
Of course. And again, you say like it's partially selfish, but it's also like what you're trying to do is a good job. And who are you trying to do the good job for? Is the people who consume the content and who care about these teams. And I think, again, the way that it is pushed out there, where even where it's like they're trying to get you, I don't think there's too many people who are trying to get you. Like I know a lot of people in media, a lot. And there's very few, like there's this whole idea of like clickbait and they're trying to get you or they're trying to create a quote or they're trying to create something out of nothing. It's like, you know what actually resonates is sustainable media coverage. Like if you are just like if you were trying to do a gotcha or you were trying to just do a clickbaity thing or you're trying to get like kind of a one-off thing, it's not a sustainable look for you in the industry. Like that's what it's all about. So it's a totally fabricated, not to every extent. Like some guys obviously want to have their work or whatever go viral. Everybody wants their stuff to be seen. But I don't think that that's generally the way that people are approaching this stuff. And it's certainly not what they're trying to do when they're entering a room to ask a question.
And you know what I'll add as well? And listen, I don't want to get into like tact and how to ask a hard question and all of that. But part of what makes Alexander Ovechkin's journey to his first Stanley Cup so amazing, and I can say this because I was there, is the fact that he struggled to get it. And it was documented. It was written about. It was a big part of his story. And it's what made the celebrations and the boys in the fountain doing the snow angels in the fountain pool. Like
of course.
All of that stuff hits so much harder because you have watched this man spend 13 years trying to get it. And part of the narrative was that he couldn't get it. But you know what everyone wanted when he was there going on a deep run?
100%.
They all wanted him to get it.
Yep.
Everyone, the media, like, you know, we can talk about objectivity and all of that. But outside of actually writing your articles and doing your reports and whatever, as a human, people wanted him to win. And I think it just comes back to like, I do believe most people are good. And most people do want you to succeed. And that includes, you know, Marner in Toronto and Austin Matthews in Toronto. People would love nothing more than to see Austin Matthews win in Toronto. For the most part, like there's bad apples everywhere, but like that's life.
Yeah, but that's always the way that it gets pushed out is like you see one person with opinion and you're like, that's representative of the thing that I said that these people are, and it's just it's all stupid. Anyway, we got to go. We're short on time. This was excellent.
I know. Was it all right? Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
How much hate you think I'll get?
Zero.
Probably
I mean, you'll get some because there's morons everywhere. Like they're out there. They're ready to hate on stuff. And again, if you
listen to me going, oh, you got to handle the pressure, and I'm like, I can't handle the pressure.
Yeah. Don't end the segment on pressure with you not handling pressure.
Don't at me.
Yeah, no,
I'm just
you
kidding.
can at
I'll
me
be fine.
anytime you want. All right, Jackie, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for doing this. See you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Jackie Redmond. All right, quick break. Before we do that, Scotiabank Arena is home to 2 unforgettable fan experiences for the ultimate March break family adventure. Raptors Fan Day hits March 16th with the Raptors team showcased, up-close moments with your favorite players, exclusive giveaways, merch deals, and more. Then Thursday, March 19th, is Maple Leafs Day with the Leafs and Scepters 3-on-3 showcase, interactive events, prizes, alumni appearances, and more. It's the perfect March break memory for fans of all ages. Raptors Fan Day, March 16th, and Leaf Fan Day, March 19th. Get your tickets now on Ticketmaster.ca. Quick break. We'll come back, hit what we missed.
We're your home of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hear the action on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, streaming on the Sportsnet app and at sportsnet.ca/590.
University Health Network right here in Toronto has been named the #2 hospital in the world, and for the 8th year in a row, #1 in Canada. Hi, I'm Kevin Smith, President and CEO of UHN. Together, with your support, we're turning discovery into breakthroughs and breakthroughs into better outcomes for patients. All of us, united, are creating the best care for our community and our future. We're deeply grateful for your support. Find out more at uhnfoundation.ca.
Right now at Pizzaville, get 2 classic panzerotti for $13.99. Each filled with tomato sauce and cheese, baked or fried, and come with a side of tomato sauce for dipping. Order at pizzaville.ca or from your cell at pound 3636.
Hi, I'm Jessica from Speedy Glass. So here's what usually happens. You get a small chip in your windshield, you hit one pothole, and suddenly you're staring at a crack. Trust me, I see this every day. But don't worry, we've got you. At Speedy Glass, our certified experts will handle your replacement so your new windshield is as solid and safe as before. It's easy. Just go to speedyglass.ca and pick the location and time that work for you. So book today at speedyglass.ca.
Speedy Glass Repair. Speedy Glass Replace.
Why is Kintec different? Because a strong step goes beyond a single solution. It takes experts who treat footwear, orthotics, and bracing as a connected system and who know how to make them work together for you. Delivering the perfect fit with support exactly where you need it to relieve pain, elevate comfort, and give you the freedom to move your best. There are shoe stores, there are clinics, then there's Kintec, footwear and orthotics together in step.
Kintec Footwear and Orthotics.
It's cold out there, folks. Minus 35. Buckle up if you're going out today. And
leave the winter blues behind when you give and get away at Canadian Blood Services. Escape to a donor center this winter and leave feeling a little lighter, brighter, and better. And when you book and attend a blood or plasma appointment, you have a chance to win round-trip tickets for 2, courtesy of Air Canada Foundation. No donation required. Give and get away this winter. Book at blood.ca/getaway and experience what you get when you give. Conditions apply. See full draw rules for details.
As Canada stares down economic uncertainty, we're ready with a plan to protect Ontario. We're fighting to defend every job, building new nuclear facilities, speeding up approvals, diversifying our trade, bringing opportunity and good jobs home. Because this province doesn't just sit back, we build. That's how we protect Ontario. Learn more at ontario.ca/protectontario. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
All-you-can-eat dripping chicken sandwiches at St. Louis Bar and Grill. We challenge you to beat the record for most sandwiches in a single sitting.
What's the record?
2. The record is 2, but we believe in you. All-you-can-eat dripping chicken sandwiches for just $18.99 at St. Louis Bar and Grill. Dine in only.
You gotta try breakfast at A&W. You gotta try breakfast at A&W. Enjoy A&W's bacon and egg and coffee for just $4.99. It's for a limited time. You gotta try breakfast at A&W.
At participating A&W locations in Ontario.
Dental hygienists, electricians, photographers, consultants. Thousands of small business owners choose Zensurance. And here's why. Because Zensurance offers business insurance from $19 per month, 100% online. Be protected. Be Zen.
Slip and fall accidents are no laughing matter. Strict notice periods, deadlines, and unreasonable insurance companies only add to your anxiety. At Bergmanis Pereira, we've been fighting and winning cases like these for decades. We understand what you're going through and have a full team standing by to provide compassionate and skilled legal care. I'm Alan Pereira, and I wrote the book on slip and fall accidents, and I'm here to help. Our consultations are always free, and we don't get paid until you get paid. Call the team at Bergmanis Pereira. Expert advice when you need it most. Visit us at bplawyers.ca.
My water heater bill went up again. Go Lime.
They locked me into a contract I never understood.
Go Lime.
I've been renting for 15 years and I own nothing.
Go Lime.
I called to cancel and they hit me with a buyout fee.
Go Lime.
Whatever they're putting you through, there's 2 words that fix it. Go Lime. Up to 50% less on your monthly water heater rental bill. 8 months free before March 15th. GTA homeowners. Search golime.com/radio right now. Terms and conditions apply.
Go Lime.
Bet365 is paying out before the final buzzer.
Check out Bet365's early payout for NHL hockey. When you bet on a team to win and they take a 3-goal lead, you get paid, no matter the final score. And with early payout, you could be on your way to a winning parlay.
Early payout. Just another reason why it's never ordinary at Bet365. An official betting partner of the NHL. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit connexontario.ca. T&Cs apply.
Stella, help me sound more Canadian.
What do you want to say, Callum?
Spence, engagement rings made in Canada by Canadians.
Made here by folks who really know their craft.
Who take pride in their work.
Who get her done right.
Okay, made here by folks who really know their craft, who get her done right.
Callum, spoken like a true Canadian.
Spence, Canada's diamond experts.
Across from Scarborough Town Centre, near Square One in Mississauga, and by Colossus Theatre in Vaughan.
In Canada, the leading cause of death is cancer. What if you could see it coming before symptoms appear? Whole Body MRI offers advanced medical scans using our state-of-the-art AI-powered MRI machines, which can detect early-stage cancers and 500 other conditions with 0 radiation. Take control of your health. Visit wholebodymri.ca to book now. Again, that's wholebodymri.ca. Get scanned.
Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
All right, good show today. Let's wrap it up well. First, little acts of kindness in a time when it seems everything is hopeless is one small way to make things better. And one simple act you can take today to have a direct and immediate impact on your community is donating blood at your nearest Canadian Blood Services donation center. This small act can save multiple lives, and the need is always there and can bring a sense of contribution to a world in need of solutions. Choose a moment of hope today. Make a donation appointment by visiting blood.ca, the Give Blood app, or call 1-888-2-DONATE. Okay, Armin's here. I got to close on more Raptors thoughts because, listen, man, you got all upset at me yesterday where I was like, man, this is actually like kind of as depressing as watching the Leafs. And I saw you like right in the dark. You're like, no, man. I think that's what you wrote because that's your move is no, man. The Leafs are obviously far more depressing in terms of their long-term future. They're going to have no first-round pick in 2 of the next 3 years, period. They have 1 young player of note. The Raptors have 2 because I'm still counting Scotty Barnes. And I guess I'll throw Jamal Shead in there. But let's be real. Like Jamal Shead on this team matters way more than he would on a good team. They're painful. And the way I want to wrap this up in terms of my feeling about the Raptors right now is I mentioned earlier that they built up a lot of equity with the fan base early on in the season. They drubbed a bunch of bad teams. Brandon Ingram was playing well. He was playing defense. I thought that he was focused. He was making plays. Scotty Barnes appeared to be taking a step in terms of his give a crap factor. Almost swore. They seemed like a tough team. I gave them credit even in some of their losses that they had early on in the season to good opponents where it felt like they just weren't going to die. They weren't going to go away quietly. They were still going to dig in. They were still going to play defense. They had some roster construction issues. But what you're seeing right now is worse than that. And what I would say is this whole year, all they had to do was answer a whole bunch of questions about the ceiling and whether this roster could make things work. And I'm going to reference the Grange article that he wrote at the very beginning of the season being like, this isn't really a rebuild because you got to find out what you have immediately with these guys. Because of the contract situation. It's why it was always relevant. It's why everybody brought up their cap figure, even though everybody kind of had a pretty solid idea that they weren't going to be winning an NBA championship this year. And sometimes it felt like, oh, you're really diminishing the wins, blah, blah, blah. The way they responded to Shed yesterday, the way they responded in the fourth quarter in general, the way they respond in fourth quarters over the course of this stretch, the way that Scotty Barnes has been playing lately and how passive he is late in these games, I really do feel like this has now a chance to go off the rails in a different way. You still have time to prove it, but the window to prove that you actually can do something with this team, it has become you got to thread a needle.
If you drop into the play-in, and even if you make the playoffs at that point, is it going to feel like a successful season now? That's the question.
I think it's already like extremely hard to have a successful season without a playoff round where you're awesome. Like that's what I'm saying is like this has gone from maybe to, oh my God, exceeding expectations, to give them a break. They already exceeded expectations, to, oh my God, this actually might be as bad as some people were projecting that it might be. And a lot of it, like, again, there's a lot of different guys on this roster that have got a lot to answer for down the stretch here. All right, we will see you on Monday. I'm off tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.
This March, experience Lincoln. Toronto Lincoln dealers invite you to discover the luxurious Lincoln Aviator, Nautilus, or Navigator. You'll enjoy an exclusive conquest bonus of up to $3,000, making it the perfect moment to experience Lincoln's renowned comfort and experience. And for your convenience, no trade-in is required. And when you drive a Lincoln, you'll receive complimentary services,